Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing our coverage of the ongoing situation between Russia, Ukraine, West, United States, and in all probability, a host of other nation states as well as this continues to evolve. So, again, today is January 20th, 2022. Uh, as always, I'm going to start with some of the news headlines in both mainstream and not so mainstream media in terms of coverage of the ongoing situation. So, first, uh, let's see here. What do we have? All right. So, this is coming out of Lithuanian National Radio and Television. Time for Russia to launch an attack shrinks to hours, says Lithuanian Defense Minister. Let's see here. TVP World. Spain dispatches warship to the Black Sea to boost Ukraine's defenses. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help out quite a bit. Boy. All right, RT. Putin's battle plans and Ukraine invasion maps as uncovered by Western media. Another one by RT. Russia responds to British Ukraine weapons airlift. And again, the Lithuanian National Radio. Political Wire. Ukraine stunned at Biden's comment on Putin, and I'm gonna cover that here in a second as well. Business Insider news satellite photos show the Russian military massing near Ukraine as U.S. warns Russia could dot 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 dot. UN Dispatch: if Russia invades Ukraine, how should the United States and Europe respond? News AM: U.S. imposes sanctions on Ukrainians related to Russian harmful foreign activities. And it looks like an Armenian outlet, so I'm not sure what that's all about. The Conversation: France, Ukraine, how an armed conflict could play out. And Fox News: Ukraine president pushes back on Biden's choice of words. There are no minor incursions. And yeah, it's again, a lot of the headlines are about that debacle of a news conference that Biden put on yesterday, and I got to tell you, I guess that's both related and unrelated to the ongoing situation in Ukraine. But I can tell you, I have never been so at unease about a sitting U.S. president as I do about Joe Biden. I think probably down deep he isn't a bad guy. I don't believe that, and I think obviously he has his ideology, and I think that compounded with, and more specifically, he's surrounded by persons that have some really, really hardcore left wing ideologies. And unfortunately, given that and his age, and quite possibly the onset of dementia, it's really showing. And I think he's disconnected. I think others are leading the country right now. I think a lot of people have their hands in the pot, so to speak. I think you have a lot of ideologues with their hands in the pot, and and this is a train that's just running down the tracks downhill, and it really doesn't look good for us. I would say us as the United States. I mean, right now we are in a position that I don't think I've ever seen us in terms of leadership and the ramifications of that leadership. But basically, if you watch that news conference, Biden really kind of tiptoed around, and I felt that he was probably giving out too much information than he should have, and I think that's just his personality to try to. That's just him, and then compound it with the whole dementia thing because of his age. It's really telling, and yeah, basically, if you watched that interview or that press conference, he did a green light a Russian operation into Ukraine. Without a doubt, he did that, and I don't think he intended to do that. I just think he obviously has no intention of fighting Russia, and I don't fault him for that. I don't think, given the state of our military, and more specifically, given the state of Western European militaries, I just don't think the capability is there right now. So initially, any conflict with Russia, probably we would see a series of really significant setbacks and losses in terms of loss of allied nation states being seized by Russia. And I've talked about that before: Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, obviously Ukraine. And there's other things that he can do as well. I don't think a lot of people are looking at. But that press conference was just a shit show, man. I tell you. But anyway, so we're seeing that Ukraine obviously is incredibly Twitter pated by by that press conference. And again, if you look at it from the Ukrainian side of things, Joe Biden said, well, maybe if Russia launches an operation and it just takes maybe a land corridor to the Crimea. I mean, he didn't say that specifically, but it did appear Biden did appear to indicate the intensity and how wide ranging said operation was that would then create possibly a different U.S. response. And I think what we're also seeing is again, the Germans are probably doing the same thing or saying the same thing. In terms of, hey, we would be willing to do this if he launches an all-out invasion of Ukraine, but we wouldn't be willing to do this if he establishes maybe a land corridor with the Crimea. But again, I think if Putin launches an operation, and I say if, there's just something going on that I feel that maybe this might not happen. Again, a lot of the forces that Russia has are still up towards Yelna and Smolensk. So I know they say within hours, but a lot of these forces are up here in staging areas still near the Belarus border, well over 100 miles from the Ukrainian border. So obviously he could do a cold start, and there are assets closer to the Ukrainian border. But again, it's just I don't trust the American press. I don't trust the media that is coming out of the United States. I almost feel they're setting things up to then articulate maybe a Putin back down, to say this is a win for Joe Biden. Look, he backed Putin down, when in reality, could it be? I'm just saying, could it be a possibility that Putin has actually no intent to going into Ukraine? Again, that's kind of the message that you're hearing from the Russian side, and we kind of went through this whole rigmarole back in April, and it's happened a few other times as well since 2014. So again, nothing happens until it happens. So, I mean, would it surprise me if this actually kicks off and Russia invades Ukraine? No, it wouldn't. But it also wouldn't surprise me either if it doesn't happen before, because we've kind of seen that. And again, based on I guess my trust in U.S. media, I'm just unsure. So I guess we'll all wait and see, and then once and if it happens, we'll we'll obviously cover that. But again, I think any invasion by Russia into Ukraine, I think the overall strategy would be based on success. So I don't believe he has in his bag of tricks. The initial operation is of a small operation, meaning maybe the seizure of a land corridor, maybe taking Kharkiv, and if I'm mispronouncing that right, I apologize. But that's just the way it is. Or maybe moving down and again that land corridor, taking Mariupol, and who knows. But again, I think that operation, depending on the ease of said operation, would then facilitate further operation. So if the Russian operation kicks off and he's able to take territory rather easily, and there's not a lot of resistance, or it's a resistance that they believed was going to occur and is not preventing movement, then I would say it would go to phase 2, phase 3, and then phase 4, whatever phase 4 could be. But again, I think initially, uh, probably in all probability, they're definitely looking at that land corridor to Crimea. It would make sense that if he does that, to then take all the territory east of the Dnieper River. And if that goes fairly easy, and if for some reason he does launch a envelopment operation to make Kiev capitulate, meaning coming down from Belarus, then obviously he could even go further. And again, that's just based on ease of operation. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think you also have to look at what has happened in the past as well, and you have to look at the operation in Georgia. Again, I don't believe that was a Russian invasion of Georgia. I think that was a response to a Georgian operation. But he could have kept going in Georgia. He had really trounced the Georgian army, and the Georgians were not suspecting the Russians would respond that quickly and that forcefully and that successfully as well. But in terms of operations in Ukraine, again, it's really difficult to say what he's going to do. I think if you're looking back in 2014, he could have moved on the Ukraine in 2014, and it would have been much easier to do it then, as opposed to now, when the Ukrainian army is much stronger and has been reinforced with Western assets and technology and training. So again, the state of the Ukrainian military and its loss of Crimea and what happened in eastern Ukraine is something that I felt that again, that if he wanted to just at that point take control of Ukraine, or even when the pro Russian leader president was in power, he could have also sent in the paratroops to back that government up, because they were still in power. It was a pro-Russian government. He could have done that, but he chose not to. And again, if he wanted Ukraine, he could have done it then. He could have absolutely in 2014. It probably would have been easier with that Russian pro-Russian leader in power. And again, it would have probably looked a lot like what happened in Kazakhstan, probably a little bit more bloodier and more intense. But that was probably his opportune time to take, so-called take Ukraine and keep a puppet government, a Russian puppet government, or establish a further Russian puppet government in Kiev. But he didn't do that. He just went after Ukraine and solidified the hold in the east as well. So again, was it a miscalculation? Did he think something else was going to happen? Again, very, very difficult to say. But that's kind of where we sit today. If you listen to the media outlets, this puppy's getting ready to kick off. But I don't know. I don't know. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. More to come. Have a good day, everybody.